Welcome to this week's episode of Your Stock Request for the 6th of June. Hi, I'm Michael Gable, Managing Director of Fairmont Equities. Your Stock Request is a weekly video where I take your requests and analyse the share price charts. So this week we're looking at Appen, Challenger, Santos and BKT. So if you have a request, email it through to me. Make sure you share this video on social media. Make sure you've signed up to our free newsletter. And just remember, any advice here is general only. So we're going to look at Appen. I know I looked at this one last week and I've been asked to look at it again, and there's a good reason why, because last week I was quite bullish on the company, and to be honest, now I'm quite bearish on it. So I've changed my mind pretty quickly, but you need to do that, and I'll show you why. So daily chart, what we're looking at last time was an ascending triangle. And when we looked at it last week, we had this breakout. So far so good. Then Friday came along and we had this very negative bar here. So this is what you need to look at. So we'll get rid of these lines. Now, in terms of the announcement last week, what this bar represents is basically an opening up here for the Appen share price. But by the end of the day, after being up 5%, it was basically down 6%. So this is known as a bearish engulfing pattern. So it's quite negative. Sometimes, well, usually you don't necessarily need to react straight away, but what's important is to see how a stock trades afterwards. So this is the reason why I put a sell recommendation out in the last few days for our clients. So quite a negative day, that we need to see how it trades after that. Now, the important thing to look at is the midpoint of these big ranges. So let's say that's approximately the midpoint of this bar. Where the stock trades in relation to that midpoint is quite important. If it trades in the upper end, then things are looking okay, it might continue on. We don't really want to see it trading in the lower end. And what happened on Monday is we had the stock trade up towards the midpoint, but by the end of the day it was sold down and finished down here. So that's quite a negative sign. And then again, we can see it trading lower. Again, it had an attempt to trade up into this range from Friday, and it closed near the low. So all of this is quite negative, and all of this tells us that we're likely to see lower levels. So I don't want to stick around anymore. Obviously, what it would do is gravitate towards this gap in February near $20. So from $25 to $20, it doesn't look like much on this chart because it's rallied quite a bit over time, but that represents quite a substantial decline in percentage terms. Okay, moving on to Challenger. So positive is, since the January lows, it's basically been making higher lows, but unfortunately it's been making lower highs. So very neutral on it. We don't really want to do anything until it makes a break. It's too dangerous to make a call at the moment, but generally the break would be in the direction of the preceding trend. So it trended down into this move. The most likely break is to the downside. It may well break to the upside, but we just have to wait and see where it wants to break first. I think to try to trade it within this tightening range is a bit dangerous. So with Santos, so we've had a nice three-wave decline, an A, B, C. If you measure A and C, they're about equal, so very neat three-wave decline. The other thing I've noticed is it's retraced 38.2% of the previous rally. So that's our Fibonacci tool. Looking at the low from December to the peak in April, it's come back to the 38.2% retracement and bounced. So we may well see a short-term bounce here, but I just wouldn't get too excited yet because I'm looking at a rally here that lasted 1, 2, 3, 4 months, and now we've had a decline lasting a little bit over 1 month. So it might just need to use up more time. So even though we've got three waves here, we might see it move sideways into a large triangle. We might end up with another B wave and then a final C. So short term, we should get a bounce. Some traders might look to sell into that rally. And finally, BKT. So this is BlackRock Mining, not one I've heard of. Fantastic run since the beginning of the year. Nothing wrong with how it's trading. If we look at the volumes on the way up, so here's the volume here. So big volume on the way up, decreasing volume on the way down. That's what you want to see. Another kick up in volume on the way up, a decrease in the share price corresponding to a decrease in volume. So everything's looking fine so far. So I think it wouldn't, it's basically just a matter of time until this thing continues to head higher. So no warning signs so far. All right, well, that's it for this week. If you have a request, please send it through. Make sure you've signed up to our free newsletter, and we'll be looking forward to those tips next week.